To date, in 2023, 62 officers have died in the line of duty, 30 by gunfire alone. 6 were from Louisiana, and that's the most of any state, as well as 13 canines have died, 5 from gunfire and 4 from heat stroke. So today we're going to talk about the 2 officers that died in the line of duty this past week and the 1 canine that died, as well as 10 officers that were shot in the line of duty in 7 separate incidents. So we're going to start in Fargo, North Dakota with police officer Jake Wallin. End of watch Friday, July 14th of 2023. Police officer Jake Wallin was shot and killed while he and other officers investigated a traffic crash at around 2:45 p.m. While officers were on the scene, a male subject opened fire on officers, firefighters, and bystanders without warning. Officer Wallin was killed, 2 other officers were critically wounded, and a bystander was wounded. Officer Wallin's field training officer was able to return fire and killed the subject. Officer Wallin was a Minnesota Army National Guard veteran. He had served the Fargo Police Department for only 3 months and was completing field training at the time of shooting. He was 23 years old. And the other officers that were injured in that incident were Andrew Dotas and Tyler Hawes. And we had a victim as well that was injured, a 25-year-old Carly Koswick. That was a female. And our subject that was killed was 37-year-old Mohammed Barakat. And it's showing that the weapon he used was an assault weapon, AR-15, AK-47 style. So that happened in Fargo, North Dakota. And now we're going to go to Alamogordo, New Mexico, where police officer Anthony Fergusun was fatally shot. End of watch Sunday, July 16th of 2023. Police officer Anthony Fergusun succumbed to a gunshot wound he received during a foot pursuit of a subject who had fled the scene of a vehicle accident at 2:18 a.m. Officers attempted a traffic stop when they noticed the subject driving a vehicle without headlights or taillights. When the vehicle sped away, officers did not initiate a pursuit. About a mile away, the vehicle crashed into a pole. After the subject fled on foot, Officer Fergusun pursued the man. The subject pulled out a shotgun and fired, hitting Officer Fergusun in the face. Wow. Another officer returned fire and struck the subject in the leg. Officer Fergusun was flown to the hospital where he succumbed to his wound the next day. The subject was treated at the hospital and has been charged with a long list of charges. And it's saying that the subject had fired at officers in January of 2023 as well. Officer Fergusun had served with the Alamogordo Police Department for 11 years. He is survived by his daughter, son, mother, father, and 4 brothers. And it's showing that he was 41 years old. Okay, we're going to go on to Canine Falco of the Gary, Indiana Police Department. End of watch Thursday, July 13th of 2023. Canine Falco was shot and killed during a canine apprehension of a subject wanted for aggravated battery and reckless endangerment. The subject had fled during a traffic stop in the 1000 block of 35th Court. The man opened fire on officers, killing Canine Falco. The man was then taken into custody. Canine Falco had served with the Gary Police Department for 8 years. Wow, he was 10 years old. Yeah, he's the 13th canine to die this year. All right, so now we're going to go on to ones that were just injured by gunfire in the line of duty. And this first one's Columbia, South Carolina, where we have the law enforcement officer was injured. It doesn't say the name. And a subject, 26-year-old Brandon C. Joyner, was injured and arrested. According to Holbrook, officers responding to reports of a male shooting a gun in the air while walking down Greystone. When officers encountered the suspect, he fired at officers, hitting a police car and striking an officer. Gunfire was returned and the officers struck the suspect in the upper body, resulting in a non-life-threatening injury. He was arrested and taken to the hospital for treatment. Some of this is so senseless. he's walking down the street with a gun, shooting a gun, and then shoots at the officers. He was looking for a confrontation, clearly. So now we're going to go to Sophia, West Virginia, where we had a female officer that was injured. Her name was Trooper Courtney Casey, and our subject is Scott Arthur Obrien, and he was killed in this incident. Police recovered the vehicle Monday afternoon of a suspect wanted in the shooting of a trooper early Monday morning. The white Jeep Grand Cherokee was driven by Scott Arthur Obrien of Hamilton, Ohio, and recovered around 1:30 p.m. Troopers are still looking for Obrien, who is believed to have shot the female trooper following a traffic stop near the Dollar General store. Around 9:15 Monday, Obrien is accused of pulling a gun and firing a single shot, striking the trooper in the elbow. He then sped from the scene. The state police hasn't released the name of the trooper. So this report must have come out before. This must be an early report. And there is a photo, too, of the Scott Obrien. And we have the name was Courtney Casey of the trooper that was injured in that one. All right, so now we're going to go to, this is July 17th, New Bedford, Massachusetts, where the detective Lavar Gilbert was injured. It's saying a gunshot wound to the face, undercover in car. Chief Police Paul Oliveira said that Gilbert was in a vehicle when the shots were suddenly fired, shattering his window and hitting him in the face. Gilbert was able to drive himself to the hospital. Another man showed up at the emergency room shortly after, who had been shot in the foot. Police are still investigating the circumstances around that, and the man is also expected to recover. New Bedford Police Chief said no officers shot their guns and also said there was no reason to believe Detective Gilbert was specifically targeted. So he was shot while sitting in an undercover vehicle. It doesn't even sound like they know who, at least at the time of the writing of that and the information that I have available from July 17th, it doesn't even sound like they know who the guy that shot him was. All right. We're going to Hampton, Georgia. And this was a mass gun event that occurred, and we had 4 people that were killed. I covered this one in one of the shorts, but we had 4 people killed: 67-year-old Scott Levitt, 66-year-old Shirley Levitt, 65-year-old Steve Blizzard, and 66-year-old Ronald Jeffers. Those were just the victims that were killed. And 3 officers, after the mass shooting, 3 officers were injured in a shootout with 40-year-old Andre Longmire when they were trying to take him in, and that was Deputy Corporal Daniel Podsiadly and 2 other officers that they're not giving the name of. But that all happened during or as a result of a mass shooting. So let's see, then we're going to go on to July 13th. We got Pembroke, North Carolina. We had Officer Kevin Chavis that was injured, and a suspect, 25-year-old Kendall Ray Deese, who was unharmed and arrested, along with this Tina Locklear. Robeson County detective is recovering after he was shot while serving a search warrant Thursday, according to Sheriff Burns Wilkins. The sheriff's office said deputies arrested 2 people in the raid. Detective Kevin Chavis was part of the SWAT team that searched a house near Pembroke, North Carolina. Just after 1 p.m. Thursday, he was hospitalized with serious injuries after the shooting. Deputies charged Kendall Ray Deese, 25 years old, with 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 3 counts of assault on a law enforcement officer with a firearm, 1 count of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, along with several drug charges. And this lady, Tina Locklear, 53 years old, was charged with possession with intent to sell and deliver cocaine, maintaining a dwelling for a controlled substance, felony conspiracy, and misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia. Neither Deese nor Locklear were injured. The sheriff said they face a $15 million bond. Wow, nobody gets a $15 million bond That must be what you get when you shoot at police officers, because seriously, they do not give bonds that high to anyone these days. Not to anybody. All right, and this one happened July 12th at Waipahu, Hawaii. And this was a recruit, a police recruit. Honolulu Police Department recruit accidentally shot himself at the academy on Wednesday. It's been confirmed that the recruit shot himself in the leg at the facility. He was taken to the hospital in serious condition. HPD issued the following statement: during training exercise at the indoor range, an HPD recruit accidentally discharged his department issued firearm. He sustained non-life-threatening injuries and was taken to the hospital for further treatment. No one else was injured. So those were the officers that died in the line of duty, as well as the canine, and the 10 officers who were injured by gunfire just in the past week. I plan to do a video similar to this every week on Thursdays, and it should be coming out around the same time every Thursday. So if you're interested in this, give it a like and come back next week around the same time.